Well, being that she's a Hershey girl, you'd think that Jessica Paholsky would be super into chocolate, but it's actually pesto that delights her. It takes her around the world to experience tastes. She can take you around the world too. For today's author spotlight, we're actually in the kitchen to show off Jessica's new cookbook, Once Upon a Pesto, and we welcome her now. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
We are chatting about your experiences here, and I can't wait for you to tell the audience about them, but start by explaining to me and to us, to our viewers, just what pesto is.
The word pesto comes from an Italian verb that means to crush or to grind. The verb itself is pestare, so pesto in itself is a process. And you often think mortar and pestle. Pestle comes from that same verb.
Okay.
So tying to that process, this was what pesto was originally made in. You know, now we have the modern kitchen appliances, blenders, food processors, but you know, crushing different things if you want to try it.
Yeah, I'll try it here.
Is where it all started.
And what do you have in here right now?
So those are sunflower seeds, and often if you take any of my pesto recipes and you want to make it the old-fashioned way, you can do it. And you often start with the nut because that's the more solid ingredient.
Right.
So what did you think? Was it easier or harder?
It takes a little elbow grease, you know, and that's certainly food processors make it much easier, but that's certainly authentic. But why pesto? What attracted you to this particular food?
I'll start by sharing that today is actually National Pesto Day.
Okay.
But my process was much longer than a day. It's been a 9-year journey. It started when I was working at a publishing company and I wanted to set this goal to publish a book. I had to determine what the book was going to be. Cookbook was more natural for me to decide on that, but then what was the cookbook really going to be focused on? What was the theme? What would set me apart from other cookbooks out there?
Yeah.
And I looked back to my college experience, my experience working at a teen travel company, and tied it to my experience specifically studying abroad in Italy and learning the Italian language. And that's where pesto offered this platform to dive into a lot of different ingredients, explore the world, share with other people about different cultures, and do it all through the lens of pesto as a process.
Yeah, and especially as you said, you spent some time in Italy and learning about olive oil. That comes into play here. Your book can open our eyes and mouths, and we're excited to dig into it. So to the whole world, how so? What are we going to find in the pages?
In the book, it's set up that there are 40 pestos as 40 different recipes.
Wow.
You can see 4 of them there.
Yes.
And each pesto is centered around one ingredient that is related in some way to a certain place in the world or a certain culture. And then when you take that ingredient and pair it with some other complementary ingredients, you know, whether it's for volume or for texture, then you get the pesto. That pesto is then used in 2 different recipes that are also inspired by that same country or culture.
So let's talk about the examples you brought with you today. What 4 examples do we have?
Yes, we have here first Brazilian-inspired pineapple pesto.
Ooh.
We have plum pesto, which is inspired by Croatia, spinach pesto inspired by China, and last but not least, yam pesto inspired by Nigeria.
So really all around the world, right?
All around the world in one display.
One display, and you could serve that at parties, really give your guests a tour of the world in your book. You have an event this month. Where's that at?
Yes, so on July 12th, which is the weekend after next, Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m., I have a book signing at the Barnes & Noble in Camp Hill. That's
awesome. We want you to check it out. It's 2 to 4. OnceUponAPesto.com is the website, and it is available now, right, Jessica?
It is. Yesterday was the official release day.
That's awesome. Well, we thank you and we say congratulations. I'm going to try some of this here coming up during the break. Which do you recommend? Which is your favorite?
If you want to go savory, it would be one of these 2. If you want sweet, it would be these 2. I think the plum is one that I would recommend.
I'm going to give it a whirl.